When I said old houses were full of surprises, it's absolutely true. I'm not surprised to have found this knob and tube, which is a relic of the 20s and I think all the way through the 40s. What surprises me is how shoddily it was terminated and how shoddily it's been managed. This was sitting in a pot of insulation. That's just electrical tape over a hot wire, and this was sitting in my attic. The knob and tube runs down and is spliced into 14.2 household wiring. I had really hoped that the 14.2 was properly wired and was feeding the knob and tube, but it's the other way around. The knob and tube is spliced to the 14.2. So it looks like grounded receptacles. It looks like a proper household circuit. And that 14.2 wiring carries on and feeds the 5 plugs that I have up here. But they are ungrounded outlets. It's not a good electrical system. It's not safe, and it's certainly not code. So a day later, I've had 3 electricians come in and give me an estimate on the scope of this work and what it might cost. And the bottom line is it's increased my budget by probably at least $1,500, maybe $2,000.
Oh, dear sweet child, what touching innocence.
Which is not money that I'd counted on spending. So what I need to do today is to save myself some money by saving them some time in doing this work. So I'm going to take apart this closet, that wall, the closet that's in the hallway, and behind that I need to dig out all this insulation, and I might even have to, and I'm pretty sure I will have to, take up some of this subfloor to get at the open joist space below, so that I can access the ceiling fixtures that I know are tied to this circuit. In that way, it'll be very, very simple to, not simple, but simpler and quicker to replace the old knob and tube wires with modern 14.2 wiring. I need to find the access points in the top plates, the walls below, where the wire from the fixture goes down into the switch. This is exactly what I'm looking for. This is the feed from the switch down below in my pantry, and it's switching over to that fixture. Time equals money, right? So I'm trying to save myself money by saving them time. But first I need some fuel. No, it's not whiskey. Well, I wish it was.
And so began several hot days scrambling around in my attic, treading gingerly across joist tops when I could find them, moving a mountain of insulation, looking for the electrical pathways into the fixtures below. That thing there, that's not insulation. That is an old wasp's nest. Thank goodness it is not active, because I'd be in some serious trouble right now, I think. It turns out that the knob and tube in my house was far more extensive than I had thought. In fact, it was tied to every single light fixture in my house. So it was going to be a much, much bigger job. I hired a contractor who would allow me to work as an apprentice of sorts, and I would do the dirty work in the attic. I would lay in the 14.2 wire to the places where we knew and we agreed that it should go, where I could, and I would open up the floor. And basically, I would create the groundwork. Does pulling that insulation make my ass look fat? Whenever I'm renovating and I'm wondering if something is structural, I know this is not, but just in case, I always like to double check. But bottom line is, if you can see daylight, yeah, no, that's not structural in the least. Well, okay, that was probably farther than I needed to go in that closet. I hadn't intended to take that back wall off or the side, but I will since I'm there. I'll do a proper job of insulating it and putting a sheet of drywall on. I really only needed to expose that inside wall that's by the garbage bag there. That has the supply leg from the switch down below to one of the fixtures that I'm after that I have to replace. This is kindling. This wound up being kindling. I'm not preserving any of that really because it came off in smaller pieces and splintered and everything else. It wasn't great to begin with, so. But I do have to take all those nails out. I don't know what the rule is at the yard I take it to. I imagine it goes into the big dumpster and then it goes into a giant furnace. God knows. But I don't like to pick up any piece of wood myself that's got nails in it. Nobody needs to get pricked. I don't know if that's Snow White or who was that got pricked by the needle. Anyway, nobody needs to get pricked. So I'll spend some time and take all the nails out of that stuff. Being a good citizen. Just a word about the knob and tube. I've been looking into it a little bit. You can see here that the wire has sort of a jute covering. There's a braided outer casing on the wire. These are single-strand copper wires. You can see that the inside wire also is sheathed. The bottom line is that it's flammable, no matter the material. As long as the knob and tube is not disturbed, people will tell you that it's safe, and it may well be, but houses get old, squirrels get into attics, they chew on sheathing. The challenge is that the wire itself would only ever have been rated for 60 degrees. They couldn't run hotter than that without the danger of burning. There's a lot of current flowing through our modern houses, and modern wiring is rated, I believe, for 90 degrees. Now, I don't know, these aren't figures that are near and dear to my heart, but that's a 50% increase. I'm no mathematician, but I think that's 50% from 60 degrees to 90 degrees. So it's dangerous. It's a fire hazard is what it is. If it's not disturbed, they say it can be okay, but this is the reason why electricians and everybody else gets excited and wants to get rid of it. It's dangerous. What I have to do here now is I have to provide access through the joists to get to that access point to the switch, which is a three-way switch, which goes down to my hallway, which is what this fixture back here I showed you was all about. That's the hall light. But I have to pull up the floorboard, so I've marked out where I believe the joists are. We're going to have to punch some holes in there to pass wire through. After I had done the groundwork in the attic, the electrician came back in and spent a couple of days finishing the job, tying me into my panel and splicing into the boxes that we had laid out, and generally just hooking me up to good old household current so I could move on with the job. This is a perfect encapsulation of the old and the new. That's the old knob and tube there that's going through to feed ceiling fixtures, and this is the new wiring that is doing the same thing. All of the new wiring primarily runs right through here. So this is where I have to be careful, and I will be. To have lost a week's time to this, and at a considerable cost, was in the end a good thing. As I had said, I had known that I had some knob and tube. I just thought it was a single little circuit because that's all I could see, and I thought maybe it was feeding a porch light. But the fact is it needed to go. Where I live, it's virtually impossible. In fact, it may even be illegal to sell a house that has knob and tube. It has to be remediated. And no electrician, of course, is going to come in and do just a part of that. You can't be just a little bit pregnant. It's all or nothing. It had to go. And in fact, an electrician, if they do work on something like that, they could lose their license. So it's a serious matter. But it did have to be done. I knew that I would have to deal with it eventually. And the fact that my attic was open was a real bonus. So as painful as it was, it needed to be done, and it did get done, and I'm grateful. I can sleep well at night now knowing that there's no knob and tube in my house, no squirrels chewing away at insulated wire. In the end, I did have to make some cuts into finished walls and ceilings in order to get at the old knob and tube and to fish in the new 14-2 wire, but it was pretty minimal. I think I only had 4. If ever you've seen pictures of a house that's been remediated in this way, there can be hundreds of such holes, and they all have to get patched and repaired, which reminds me, I have yet to do my own. It's on my to-do list, honey. I promise I'm going to get to it. Next time out, though, on Sound Sense, we're going to hit the deck. It's all about the subfloor.